welcome to this episode of Spotlight. We're fortunate enough to have Azar Hussain here today. Azar, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, well my name's Azar. I am MD of Rebel Recruiters, a specialist tech and digital recruitment company based here in the heart of Nottingham City Centre.
Awesome. So Spotlight's all about the people that are mad enough to set up a business. What made you set up Rebel and why did you call it Rebel?
Well, I think the aforementioned madness was a big one. Yeah, it was a case where I'd been working at my last place for a number of years, probably driving myself crazy in the end there because it was a corporate kind of outfit, and you always get to that point where you're like, what do I do next? And for me, it was about my kids. Not in that I wanted to spend more time with them, obviously that was really important, but it was about wanting them to be kind of proud of what their dad does for a living. And I got to that point where I was like, yeah, I don't think I can really say that. So I need to make sure that the next kind of 10 years of my career are doing something that is actually meaningful. And that's when I decided to go alone and make the jump to create Rebel Recruiters.
And have you always had the desire to run your own business since you were young? Or did something happen to you later in life?
No, actually, so I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And my mum was like, you don't need to go to university. Why do you want to work for someone else? You're 16, build a business. I was like, okay, not quite on that train yet, mum. But I was quite happy, just being part of a team and not necessarily going it alone. But what I did find is that there is a bit of freedom sometimes going it alone. And if you're not able to follow your own kind of ideas and your own vision as an employee where you are, then going it alone is a really exciting option for you.
That's funny because that's the exact opposite to what my parents said when I was setting up a business.
Oh, okay.
My dad was like, it was the craziest thing that he'd ever heard, and he couldn't understand why someone would leave their job with a car, laptop, insurance, food allowance. It's like, what are you doing? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So that's really interesting that your parents took that.
Yeah, completely opposite. Yeah, I'd probably be running a string of chip shops and takeaways if I took their advice, but sorry mum, it's true.
Did you see that, obviously you're called Rebel, so did you look at the tech recruitment marketplace and just think, this is all wrong, there is a reason for someone to come and be rebellious? Was that kind of the thought process behind it?
So, self-awareness is a big thing for us at Rebel Recruiters. And we know that in the industry that we're in, and I knew this before I founded Rebel, that one of the hardest thing was to try and get yourself noticed because people were just fatigued with the experiences that they've had with recruiters. And bearing in mind that we fulfill a really important job for most of the country, we are a high proportion of people get their job through recruitment companies. It never sat right with me that we do such an important job, yet people see us as a necessary evil. And in the tech market, because it was growing, it was difficult to get that buy-in from candidates and employers. So that's why I started Rebel, just with a blank slate, and I said, if recruitment could be done really well, what would it look like? And that was kind of, the whole starting point for the company, really.
Okay, awesome. So was it you to start with?
Just me, yeah.
And where was that? Just home?
My brand new refurbished kitchen.
Really? What was the first thing you bought?
First thing I bought was I think it was a £120 laptop.
Oh, yours was less money than mine. Mine was 300 quid. What make was it?
Oh, it was a good old solid Dell.
A Dell?
Yeah.
Ours is a Lenovo. It uses the doorstop in the office.
Yeah, mine is still used as the spare laptop in my household. So.
Second thing you bought?
Second thing I bought would have been, I did actually go all out on a headset. So probably cost more than the laptop.
Yeah, my second thing was, ironically, was a $9.99 desk phone from Tesco.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
so you're using cables.
Yeah, I was using cables, yeah. And the first call I made was to the person that convinced me to set up the business to ask her what I do now.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
So that's cool. What do I do now? It's going well. You say it's going well? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, every year's been a challenge, and I can't say there's been any year when there hasn't been ups and downs. I think that's probably the same for your own business as well. But I think this is something that we probably see eye to eye on. It's the people around you that make the difference. So yeah, we're doing all right.
And do you think when I think about the motivation as to why I started my own business, I hated my job. Like I didn't just dislike it. I hated going to work. I felt like I had no purpose, and that's changed now because I've been doing this for as long as I can remember. So what gets you up in the morning? Because once you've got through that first bit of it being like, I hate my job, and then you get that first client and you're like, shit, this is now my job.
Yeah.
What is it that motivates you every day to get up? Be rebel, Mr. Rebel. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you have to be that, don't you?
I probably wish I could give you a more kind of like intelligent answer to this, but it's just literally the positive feedback that keeps me
Yeah.
going. So it's positive feedback that we get from candidates, from employers, but most importantly, it's positive feedback that I get from my guys in the team. Like, you know, they feel like we're on to something.
Yeah,
we're on a bit
awesome,
of a mission.
yeah.
And we had it the other day with one of them, just like, I never want to leave this place.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you not get out of bed?
Yeah, that's great.
So,
My mentor always said to me at the start, she always said to me, one day you'll just get this feeling. And she's like, I can't tell you when you'll have the feeling, but you'll just get this feeling. It's like, it comes from the team that you put in place and like people buying into your idea. It sounds like that's very similar.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I think that's where it's a double-edged sword for us, because it's not only about creating a culture and an atmosphere where like everyone wants to come in, give it their best, work hard, but also look out for each other. But it's about trying to let that magic happen with our employers as well, because everyone wants that, don't they? Every manager wants to recruit someone who's going to give them that feeling and get them out of bed in the morning because they know they're going to go in and they've got the right team. So for us, it's about creating that here, but also creating that elsewhere for our customers as well and for our candidates. So, yeah.
I would imagine that you're like me. You're not old, but you're not.
I'm not sure about that.
Well, I know, but you know what I mean. You're not old, but you're not. You probably feel a lot older than your team, and that there may only be 10, 12, 15 years max between you being the oldest and the youngest person in the team. How are you finding managing the university graduate level age now? What problems are you coming up? What tips would you give anybody that was thinking about having a large millennial Gen Z team, or a younger team, or thinking about business, or actually thinking about bringing grads in or apprentices even?
I'd say we've had challenges, okay, and that's because when you first start recruiting, you've always got this kind of mindset, you know, it's like, I'm going to get someone who fits what I need, and then when that person comes who isn't an exact fit, or maybe challenges some of the like perceptions that you have of what an employee should be doing, sometimes if you're not really experienced, your immediate reaction is like, well, that's not, I don't like that, okay? And I think how we've kind of changed and evolved is that we see that there's an opportunity to learn from every single person that comes into the team. Now that hasn't been easy, because you've got to have the right culture for that. So for example, you know, we'll have, every Wednesday we have really short workshops, okay, after we've had a team meal. But we, you know, absolutely everyone, from, you know, a director through to an apprentice, will have 3 or 4 slots during the year where they can teach us about something. And I guess the point I'm making is that I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about how to manage people, but also how to become a better leader by actually learning off these guys. So some of the things that we do now, we do because some of these younger guys actually came with the energy and the ideas, and we let them kind of roll with it, and we jumped on board with it. I'm not going to say specifics, but we're a very different company to how we were 3 or 4 years ago.
Interesting. Biggest obstacle or challenge that you've had to overcome in terms of your staff, in terms of the team management?
I think getting culture right.
Yeah.
You know, it's a word that's bandied around a lot, but culture doesn't just happen by itself. You really have to work hard. I think A, to improve yourself, and B, to communicate that culture to people. You can't just say our culture is cool, or our culture is open, or our culture is professional. People need to know what that means. They need regular reminders. They need vision and values. And actually, at the start of last year, when we moved into this new office, we just took 2 or 3 days, literally down tools, and just focused on what culture actually means to us. and created a mission statement, created a set of 10 values, and completely changed the way that culture can be understood by the team.
So you think that it's like culture and setting good old-fashioned standards, sort of like colliding somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You've hit the nail on the head there. It's like, how do you marry having that culture that everyone wants, which is, you know, autonomous, inclusive, open, with we need to get the job done.
Yeah.
Right. But I think you can swing too far, you know, on both sides.
Yeah.
And the trick is about, for me, if you get the culture right, but you also marry that with a high performance culture, you get the best results.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when I think back to when I started, like the high performance culture, that was what you bought into first. When I started, I remember I got to my first advertising floor and I was like, right, this is where this magic is happening. Like, and it was all high performance culture, and you didn't. As long as you're making money, the rest of it didn't matter. Like, you didn't even notice it. It wasn't until you sort of started to want a bit more from work, I suppose, that you realised that the general culture was terrible.
But we grew up in different times though, Sam. So we grew up in times where like money was everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think we're children of the 80s, okay, you know, the whole kind of
before smartphones.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, Thatcherism, you had really destitute parts of the UK, you had guys wearing pinstripe suits, earning loads and loads of money, and it's a very aspirational financial culture.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I think it's very different now.
It is, yeah.
You've got, you know, millennials that are quite happy earning average wages.
As long as they're happy.
As long as they're happy.
Yeah. Or in the pursuit of happiness.
Whereas in the 80s, there'd be hippies.
Yeah, they would, yeah.
They'd be like hippies.
Yeah,
you know, they were like,
So, success, it's a funny word, isn't it? Because everyone's lives in this land of overnight success or perception of overnight success, but it means something different to each and every entrepreneur or director or anybody that runs a business. And what does success mean to you? Have you achieved success?
I don't know if it's for you to judge, really.
Okay.
You know, it's success. How do you know if you're successful? Well, it could be you might have a successful bank balance, you've got a successful business, you've got a successful marriage, but if other people don't feel the same, like in a marriage, if you think you've got a successful marriage, your wife doesn't, it's not successful, does it?
No, it's not.
If you think you've got a successful business but people hate working there,
it's not. Yeah, good
so
point.
yeah, I don't know. I think people get too hung up on success. I think progress is the really important point. As long as you're always kind of learning, developing, trying to better whatever it is you're working on, then that's probably more important than success.
Oh, it's an interesting take on success, actually. I never really thought about it in those contexts, which goes to show like it's different folks with different strokes. Yeah, it's like however you think about it. What advice would you give that person, and what advice would you give yourself starting out again now?
Don't make it all about money. I think if you do that, you're potentially going to come unstuck, because for me, it's like money should be a result of you doing things the right way. And a lot of people make loads of money, like starting a business in year one, but they're doing it on an unstable foundation, or they're doing it in a way that isn't sustainable, right? You get the basics right, figure out what your values are, who your customers are, what you're offering to them, what sets you apart, how you're going to keep people, why would people want to work for you, and how you're never going to lose sight of your values.
That's interesting, because you're talking there about how you've almost, in that start process, thought about it not being successful. You were already planning to doing things in a certain way, how you'd be managing people and you've spoken there about money, which is, again, very different to my own story. My own story was literally like, if I can make the same money working for myself that I am working for somebody else, that's a success.
Oh, 100%.
I'm happy with that.
I am 100% with you on that one.
Yeah.
But what I would say is there comes a point, let's say you make the money, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep that business sustainable?
Yeah.
Okay, because when you set the business first up, right? It's like everyone starts and they've usually got like a 6-month kitty. So clearly, if you're thinking about, I'm going to have a fancy culture, I'm going to have an amazing website, all of these things that are medium to long term, you're going to default on your mortgage and you'll be homeless, right?
Yeah.
So in that situation, the short-term goal should be money. But what I mean is that for me, it shouldn't be about, money should not dictate every decision that you make. Don't make money your master.
Yeah, okay. That's because that is in sharp contrast to what these videos that you see on your on Instagram predominantly, like some guy in a fancy suit boarding a private jet that, like, last year was in his mum's garage doing this, and he's made all of this cash, and he's like, there's a very, very opposite sort of take on that, actually. I think for me, just listening to the way that you've explained that, I think for me there's an element of my own, it wasn't just about making the money, was it? That's the first bit, like when you can cover your costs, it then becomes that realisation, is like, shit, this might actually work, like I might actually be able to, I remember thinking like, I might actually be able to pull this off, like, this might actually be a thing, and then you get your first member of staff and then you're like, this isn't about money anymore. For me it's about, it's the responsibility of people that you have to pay them. And like,
you're responsible.
You have to pay them.
And I think one of the things that you underestimate when you're starting out, because when you start, it's all about you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? If you're in a situation where you're not loaded, it's about creating something that's going to create a sustainable life, sustainable income for me. And then as you go, the realization hits you. And it sometimes, for me, it only really hit me last year when we grew to 15 people. It was like, wow, if this business went under, that's 15 families.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for
Yeah.
this. You know?
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
But then when you see that, actually, it makes as much a difference to your team as it does to you, then that gives you a source of energy as well. So it can be a source of like fear, but also a massive source of energy to keep going. Yeah,
it's the fear first for me, I found. I remember when we expanded the team last time, and my partner was like, it's great news that you've got more staff. And my first reply was, just 2 more mouths to feed, really. You've got 2 more people to worry about making sure that they're provided for. And then the excitement of them becoming a member of your team and like the skills and stuff. So yeah, it's a. I don't think anything there is. You see like these books and stuff, don't you? People talk about books and things to read. Nothing can really prepare you for the journey of setting your own business up, can it?
No, and I think there's an element of when you're the MD of the business or the founder, you are the figurehead, and people look for you to be stable and strong and stable.
Yeah.
As Theresa May would say.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just said that. And then you're like, I am strong and stable. Yes. And
Didn't
then
Brexit mean Brexit?
Brexit. And you're like, but then you have days where you're like, I don't really feel strong and stable. I actually feel like I don't want to go into work because of whatever is going on. But that's why I say don't make money your master, focus on the culture.
Yeah.
Because for me the best feeling is when I'm not having a great day, you walk in and someone just picks you up. And I'm the boss, I should be picking you up, but the fact that you're picking me up is amazing.
Yeah, it's lovely. That's lovely. I found that I found really weird things happening to me since like I did this. I think somebody the other day asked me if I was okay, and I messaged them back and thanked them for asking me if I was okay, and they thought that I was being really weird. And I said, oh no, just nobody ever asks me if I'm all right anymore. Like when you've got a manager at work, you tend to have somebody that asks you if you're all right and how things are going. I think if I was giving somebody a piece of advice about setting up a business, it's like, don't do it if you're precious, because no one's going to ask you if you're okay. Like the VAT has got to be paid, the tax has got to be paid, the PAYE has got to be paid. These are things that you're going to have to deal with.
HMRC isn't going to be like, you know what, you can take a couple of days, it's so good.
Yeah, you're not feeling
you just get yourself together, right?
Yeah, the brown letter's on its way.
Brown letter. Yeah. That's another thing I'd say. Brown letters, as an entrepreneur, never mean good things.
No, nothing good came in a brown letter.
Yeah, absolutely.
It usually means you owe somebody money, or someone's not going to pay you.
But the point is really a really important one, because being an entrepreneur is a lonely space, right?
Yeah.
Because as you say, when you're having a bad day, or you're not feeling great, you haven't got a manager that's going to put his arm around you and stuff. And this is where I think a lot of people might get it wrong. I'm not an expert on these things, but when you give off this persona that you're invincible, and you give off this persona that you know it all, and that you don't need help, and that you don't make mistakes, guess what? The job becomes a lot more lonely.
Yeah.
Because people are like, they don't need me. He doesn't need advice. He doesn't make mistakes, so he's obviously got his stuff together. And then when you have your moment or have a wobble, no one's going to come and help you. So for me, I've probably taken the opposite route, where I'm like, I make mistakes all the time, guys. I'm learning. If I'm doing something wrong, let me know. And it is, you do make yourself vulnerable, but the great thing about it is that people they don't think twice about saying, look, are you okay? Do you need some help? Or go on, take an afternoon off, you've been working really hard. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Rebel.
Okay.
And what Rebel are good at. So I need some people to use computers, because this is what I understand that you recruit people for.
Yeah, it's progressed a little bit beyond that, but we'll roll with it.
But they have their own language though, don't they?
They have many languages, Sam.
Yeah, like Agile, which isn't being able to bend over.
Which is also not a language, but...
Exactly, exactly. And then Python, which is not a snake.
No, it's definitely not a snake.
Is that a language?
But it is a language, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have we've digressed, but you get the point. It's quite complicated. But it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It's super complicated.
It's really complicated.
And it's constantly changing.
Oh yeah, because I was reading this article that said that if you're a developer and you take 2 years off to travel, you're screwed.
You're a dinosaur.
Yeah. Like the code and stuff changes, all the techniques.
It's not strictly true. So we placed a lady not long ago who did take a couple of years out to raise a family, and we found an amazing job for her. And it's very specific though. So for in her particular language or framework that she was working in, 2 years wasn't a big deal, right? But if you're working in, I don't know, JavaScript for example, 6 months is a long time.
Oh, okay.
So
it moves faster.
It is, yeah. But if you're working in an old school language like, I don't know, Delphi, right? Okay, you're getting confused, aren't you?
Adelphi. Sounds like a hotel.
Yeah, so Delphi, is probably the same as it was 5 years ago. There's not going to be that many changes there. So people see IT as this one thing, but it's not.
Yeah. So obviously it's IT. It's like a broadly sweeping, it's IT that you recruit for. And I need somebody to do some IT. So I need someone to code me something in Python.
Okay.
Yeah. Why would I choose for Rebel recruiters to sort that
Okay.
new member of staff out?
So I think I'll give that Python example. That's a difficult role. Okay,
Right.
It's a competitive market, and it's quite a niche market. So the first thing you need is someone who kind of knows their stuff, who knows the difference between Python and Delphi or these other languages.
And is this the recruiter that knows the difference between
Yes.
the stuff?
Yeah, so at Rebel, for example, our guy who would recruit that role would be someone called Lee, who is actually a developer in his own time. He actually approached us for a developer job, and I managed to convince him to become a tech recruiter, which I don't know if he'll thank me for, but one thing it does mean is when it comes to our customers, they're talking to someone who kind of understands and speaks their language. So that's the first thing. So we know the tech more deeply than most other recruiters would. I think the other thing is our perception in the market as well. So let's say you're a Python developer, right? Let's say you have got your choice of jobs out there, and you get loads of noise, loads of adverts, loads of agencies, loads of companies trying to, send you messages on LinkedIn. It can be overwhelming, okay? Who do you go to? Well, you'll probably go to someone that's built a really good relationship with you, who you can trust, who treats you as a person, not as a CV. And I think that's where we excel. So our guys spend most of their time finding and speaking to candidates rather than making sales calls. So if you go to the average recruitment company, they have tons of targets when it comes to sales, and actually not that many targets when it comes to building relationships with candidates.
Interesting.
We flip it around. So our guys are professional recruiters, not professional salespeople. So they're more likely to get buy-in from that Python developer because they treat him or her like a human being and not a commodity.
So not naming a number, but actually a person.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Your business is more people heavy than my business. So a piece of personal advice that I will get from this interview, can you give me some top tips on managing people?
Oh God, yeah, you're asking as if I'm an expert.
No one's an expert in it, but like surely we all have to learn from each other, don't we?
Yeah,
Like?
I could say things that work well for us.
Yeah.
The first thing would be like, don't manage everyone yourself. So, and that's a lesson that I've learned probably in the last 6 months. Not everyone needs to be a full end-to-end line manager to help you with management. So you can get people to manage each other, which sounds a little bit weird, but actually people are probably more likely to be kept on their toes if they are keeping other people on their toes as well. So we split our teams into pods, so and they're all very different. So we don't just have a pod of like people that are really similar or work in similar areas. We mix it up and have regular meetings, and actually takes a lot of the management burden off the managers.
So delegating the management
to people that are not managers.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Having said that, I think it is important, like, your staff members have to have a safe space to speak with their manager, and we were tinkering around with what works best for us, and what we find is we do our monthly reviews that work really well, but then for maybe newer people we have a 15-minute slot every week where it's just, like I said, it's a safe space. Just tell us what's going on in your head, anything we can do. It's not really just about target setting as well. We try and stay clear of that. It's more just a general kind of how you're feeling, how you're getting on, kind of thing. And that's great because it stops problems becoming big, because you nip them in the bud. And yeah.
So delegate and create time
Create safe
for
space.
feedback.
Absolutely,
safe space.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
That's probably something I'll take away from this.
Yeah, and
Create
if you're doing, because we come across a lot of companies that do like reviews once a year, and it's like, well, so much can happen. You need regular content. It doesn't need to be massive. Like, it can only be 5 minutes. Go out on a walk on a Friday. Just give everyone a little bit of time, so that if they're going off track, you can help them get back on track really, really quickly.
Instant feedback culture.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Well, like Instagram and stuff, like instant likes on something, it's instant good feedback.
Yeah.
So it's like you're almost making space for there to be an understanding that
yeah.
feedback will be coming.
There's probably some
maybe reduces anxiety around getting the feedback.
Yeah, and it also reduces your anxiety as a manager, because at the end of each week you know that you've touched kind of each person, not in that weird way, but you've touched them kind of like as a manager, you're in touch with them. That's what I'm trying to say.
So you do a quick Google search, you'll find that there are about 26,500 recruitment businesses in the UK.
Yeah.
So there's a lot for us to choose from to find that person to use the computer. What makes Rebel different?
I'd like to think what makes Rebel different is how A, we get results, and B, how we make our customers feel. So there are recruiters out there, plenty of companies that will get you results, but you don't walk away feeling like you've had a great experience. And then there's probably recruiters out there that you have a good experience with, but they don't get you results. And I think we need to kind of bring those two together. We do that predominantly by the quality of people that we hire. Like I said before, we don't hire salespeople, we hire recruiters. So when you're dealing with us, you'll find that we're quite fun to work with. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We're kind of, we're not, when we've sent you a candidate to interview, we don't ring you straight afterwards and go, how is he getting on? Are you going to make an offer? We recognise that you're a human being, you've got your own priorities, you're smart, you'll give us a shout when you need us. So we're quite low touch in that way. And I think all of our guys are pretty switched on. They're all smart cookies. So we deal with really complicated vacancies really, really well. And Yeah, I mentioned about how we make people feel. We just treat them with respect from start to finish, whether you're a candidate or an employer. If we make a promise, we'll deliver on the promise. If we can't deliver, we'll apologise and we'll admit that we were wrong, and we'll move forward to put it right. I think if you ask most of our customers, they'd probably say it feels like when they work with Rebel that we've actually got skin in the game. Something I've been talking about recently a lot with my team is whenever we sign a customer up, we need to adopt the mentality that we're either going to win together or we're going to lose together. So if we place a candidate and they're a dud, or something goes wrong and they disappear, we've got to look after that customer, okay? And that puts a lot more responsibility on us to get it right that first time. But when things do go wrong, we don't refer to the terms and conditions. We look after them. So we stay with the customer during the probation period, and if the candidate doesn't work out, we'll find you a free replacement. Or if we can't find you a free replacement, we give you your money back. Because genuinely, we don't keep people's money unless we've done a good job for them.
It's quite refreshing.
Yeah,
it's quite a refreshing attitude to hear.
We're business owners.
Yeah.
If I place someone with you and they left after 4 weeks, and then the recruiter said, you owe me half the money, like even if you'd signed up to that, how are you going to feel?
You'd be pretty miffed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you'd be pretty miffed.
So it's not a case of, well, you signed it, so you live by it. It's a case of, you're not happy. It doesn't feel right. So we just look after you.
That's interesting. I think, so just sort of like touch on that with you, I think I've got mentors, probably like yourself, and I remember one of the very first lessons that the female one of my two members taught me was customer service is everything. And just like people will stay with you through the bad times or poor performance because you've got good customer service where you can just say, sorry, we'll fix that for you. That sounds sort of like that was maybe missing in the recruitment industry, or not enough of it. And it sounds like you're almost pinning you're almost saying, well, we've spoken about success loads in this, and I suppose like part of the process of these interviews and like conducting this is to try and come to a conclusion with the person that's talking, to be able to say, wow, in that 30 minutes that we spoke, you can actually say, oh, for Christ's sake, we did so well, or we've done so well because the customer is at the centre, customer service.
Yeah, but there's plenty of examples of companies that don't give great customer service that make money and are successful.
Yeah.
Especially in the recruitment industry. So in the recruitment industry, because your candidates are your currency, you can potentially get away with giving a terrible customer experience by having access to all the great candidates, and then people are forced to work with you, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of companies like that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And that works for them.
Yeah.
That's their mantra, that works for them. But for us, we need to feel that customers are working with us because they want to work with us, not because they desperately need to. But why is Amazon Prime like the #1 destination for all online shopping in the UK?
Yeah.
It's because you know what you get.
It's convenient, you know what you get.
You know what you get. It's all about the customer journey. It's all about making things as easy as possible for the customer. And there's a lot of lessons in that. Doesn't matter whether you're opening a sweet shop, a butcher's, or a multi-million-pound online business. Yeah, it's how you make your customers feel, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think that transcends any lesson in business as well.
Yeah.
Other people would give different answers on that, but
we're two gurus though, so we know our stuff.
yeah, but I started off in customer services behind the customer service counter at Matalan in Bulwell.
Oh, okay. I started in customer service as well, serving kebabs at a market. So, and they're the hardest customers.
You were serving kebabs.
Right now.
Mine was taking returns on second-hand Calvin Kleins.
Yeah, I still have nightmares about people asking me for more chili sauce.
More chili sauce?
More chili sauce, yeah.
More chili sauce? I'd like more chili sauce. Not after today's lunch though, it's no more chili sauce.
No.
Okay, so would you rather have super sensitive taste or super sensitive hearing?
Right now, probably super sensitive taste because I can't smell. So I probably taste what 80% of a normal human being does.
Alright. Would you rather be an Olympic gold medalist or a Nobel Peace Prize winner?
Peace Prize.
Would you?
It's got to be the Peace Prize.
Wow. Not about individual glory.
No, it just sounds so cool.
If it was Olympics though, what event?
Just for comedy's sake, the walking. Because, you know,
It's like, I'd be 100 metres, king of all events. That's what everyone goes to the Olympics to watch, the 100 metres, king of all the events. Right. Would you rather live in a giant desert or in a giant desert?
both are equally hazardous, aren't they?
Possibly.
Yeah.
But the desert was though, wasn't it?
Yeah. At least you could die happy, I suppose, if you're in dessert.
But if it was a giant ice cream sundae, you would technically drown.
Yeah, it would depend what dessert as well. So if it's like, you know, parfait.
Average.
Yeah.
Or like anything with banana in it.
Or
like a banana dessert. Imagine
or
being
raisins.
stuck in a banana dessert.
Yeah, if it was raisins, and then absolutely not, I'd go with the desert.
Go with the desert. Would you rather take a guaranteed 100 grand or go 50-50 on £1 million?
Guaranteed 100k, I'm so boring.
Wow, would you?
So boring. I don't deal well with regrets.
But you would have a regret anyway.
No.
Because you'd be
I'd be
regret, you'd be like,
happy-
I've took
I'd be
100
happy.
grand, but like...
How can you regret getting 100 grand? Only if you think about missing out on $1 million, but I'm alright with that. I can just, yeah.
Right.
Gambling's wrong, don't gamble.
Would you rather have no fingers or no eyes?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
No figures. You gotta have eyes.
Yeah, you've got to see. You've
I'm
got to be
not
able to
saying
see.
people without eyes are equally valid, but I'm saying, yeah, eyes are important.
Would you rather go to the moon or an all-expensive paid visit to anywhere on the Earth?
Earth.
Would you? Do you not want to go to the moon?
Well, you kind of know what's there, though, don't you? It's like dust and space, and
Yeah, but I think I'd choose to go to the moon over anywhere.
yeah, but you might not come back.
And that's a risk I'd be willing to take, you know, to go to the moon.
Yeah, see, I missed 100k. I'd take the safety option.
You've got like look at the world. You are such Mr. 100k. Look at that. But you could go forever go forth now as being known as Mr. 100k.
Mr. 100k,
Which is kind of,
Mr. 100k, not Mr. Million, yeah.
Mr. 100k, which kind of makes you sound like a footballer or something or a fan.
I know, it makes me sound more glamorous than I am.
It certainly does. Would you rather be attacked by a giant snake or an angry piranha?
Piranha, I can't be strangled to death. That's just, yeah. It depends what kind of snake. Could it swallow me whole?
Well, more like a boa constrictor, isn't it? Like
A boa.
a boa, is that what they call it? A boa. Oh, yeah,
It's
a
much
boa.
more National
A
Geographic.
boa constrictor. But you'd like be squeezed to
Get
death
squeezed to death.
versus
exactly.
nipped to death by a piranha.
Yeah, but you bleed out though, don't you? You don't feel it. If you've got sharp teeth, you wouldn't feel it.
It'd be pretty horrible being bit by a piranha. So you're going to say you're going snake?
No, I'm going piranha.
You're going piranha.
Yeah.
Being drawn out death though.
I don't deal well with close spaces, so snake's not an option.
Death by piranha.
Death by piranha.
Well, death by piranha it is. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks
Enjoyed
for
it.
having me.
Been blessed.
Awesome.